Hello, students. Very good evening again. Uh, yeah, yeah. Hi, students. Good evening again. Happy to meet you on the next Saturday. So I think I'll just take you through a few of the sessions that we had already completed so far, just for us to give a quick revision. So we have been doing the career workshop series, 21 different career clusters that are there around the world, and the few career clusters we have completed so far are agriculture and food sciences, architecture and construction, arts, humanities and liberal arts and social sciences, business management and administration. Now, in today's time, we are going to see commerce, accounting, and finance. Okay, I'll also just help you go through what are all the other future career options we're going to discuss about, just for you to have in line on what are the other things that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss on design, fine arts, and visual arts. We're going to talk about education and teaching, engineering and technology, entrepreneurship and startups, government and public administration, healthcare and allied sciences, hospitality, tourism, and transportation, human services and social work, IT and computer science, law, legal studies, and judiciary, manufacturing and industrial technology, media, communication and journalism, performing arts, science, research and innovation, sports, physical education and fitness, defense, security, and protective services. Okay, now in this, we have completed about 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. And today we are on a fifth Saturday, and consistently 4 Saturdays we have done without a break. And today we are going to focus on commerce, accounting, and finance. Okay, like the every other session, we want to see why is this career, how is this career different, will this be suitable for your career, etc. Okay, now if you remember in the previous session, we were talking about if student takes commerce as a career option, most of them choose chartered accountancy or anything related accounting, but it also has a different version called business management, and that is what we saw in the previous session. But in today's session, we are going to see a well-known career option, that is chartered accountancy and similar careers, for people who are planning to take up commerce after grade 10. And if there are any commerce students already, you'll be able to understand accounting is having the accountability. In fact, the word is interchanged into our daily verbal language. Accountability ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Okay, so ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, you are accountable to do a certain task ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೌಂಟೆಡ್ ಅಂತ ಅರ್ಥ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೌಂಟೆಡ್. ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಶಾಪ್ ರನ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರನ್ ಅ ಬಿಗ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್, ಆರ್ ಯು ಮೇ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಬಿ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಎಂಟೈರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ನೇಷನ್. Doesn't matter. Every money that comes in, every money that goes out, everything that makes you being profitable or face a loss, everything comes under accounting. Okay, so accounting is a very simple formula or a detailed formula of understanding simple things, which is called as transactions. Transactions andre, 100 rupees you are paying to somebody or somebody paying you 100 rupees. When you have an accounting of everything that goes from you and everything that comes to you, and identifying if you're doing the accounting well, are we looking into profits? Where is the money leaking? Where are we doing right? Where are we doing wrong in the financial decisions? All of them comes under, okay, accounting and finance. So fundamentally, accounting and tagondre, these are important 8 disciplines you need to keep in mind. Starting with accounting, whatever I told you, income, outcome, etc. Audit is finding and auditing and doing analyzing if something is done right or where is the leakage or where are we going wrong. Tax, for everything that you pay or everything that you buy, there's a contribution that goes to the government of India or the state government for the government to function itself. Treasury, a place where the money is stored and can be distributed for various reasons for various organizations. Banking, where people go and deposit and do transactions with the bank for the security of the money that they have, an opportunity for the savings which they have actually put, they can earn some interest out of it. And bank also sees that an interest for the deposited money to getting rotated around the within the citizens to run that itself as a business. Markets are the place where transactions happen. Investing is a place where people try to invest for better returns based on various parameters. Insurance is a place where you pay money to insure to either one or the other thing. It could be accidental insurance, it could be a life insurance, etc. When all these areas come together in one place, or finance and banking will be available and will be integrating itself into one of these 8 places. Okay, now let's understand commerce, accounting, and finance a little more deeper. What are the few organizations that we need to understand and that we need to know before we understand finance deeper? So finance is not only a college subject, children. That's what I want you to tell today. Finance is not just a college subject. At its most, it's an ambitious subject. Okay, but it's built around the country's stock markets from scratch, or taken household savings. So everybody who has actually made some savings wants to invest somewhere to make a little more money. That could be mutual funds. And turning a small, and it also is about turning a small Mumbai brokerage. That means if you know Mumbai Stock Exchange, where all the companies are inviting the public to invest money into the company for their growth. All of that is also coming under finance and banking. Let us take a few good companies or organizations, may not be companies, which you need to understand. Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India. There's not a normal bank where you go put money, where your father goes, puts money after the salary comes and does some family transactions or some business transaction, what your uncle might be doing. So Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of the entire country. It's a government identity. Okay. They are the ones who sets the monetary policy. Okay, how should the money be received? How should the money be given? When should we print the money? What are the regularities that they have to follow? Every company has to follow, every person has to follow, etc. And Indian Reserve Bank kind of manages more than 650 billion United States of American dollar worth Indian rupees of foreign reserves as well, run almost entirety by economists. Who are the people who run the Reserve Bank of India? Economists run it, accountants run it, and bankers run it. Okay, so like we have HDFC Bank, like we have Axis Bank for the society, for the public, for people to go and use it, or State Bank of India, etc. That is not the same way how you can see a Reserve Bank of the country. It is the country's reserve. It's the country's management, the central body, or the government's operational structure, which is called the Reserve Bank of India, which takes a lot of decisions in terms of a country's financial movement. Okay, Bombay Stock Exchange. Bombay Stock Exchange is again a exchange or stock exchange, again monetized or monitored by the central government, through which every company which is wanting to raise funds from the people, from the public, or from the society, they kind of monetize it. They kind of give a platform for all these investments to happen. Zerodha is a very popular company which is started by Nikhil Kamath. Most of your students may know Nikhil Kamath on the podcasts or anything. It's a highly profitable bootstrapped company which has not even taken 1 rupee as an investment to start Zerodha. Zerodha is an online digital platform between the companies and the people or the societal or people in the society to actually invest and withdraw their investments. Okay, then there are similar things like Unit Trust of Indian Mutual Funds and Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. This is where every chartered accountant, after you complete chartered accountancy, that is after you complete your CA, right? This is where you get registered, and the Institute of Chartered Accountants fundamentally give you a license to practice CA in India. Okay, and then comes as UPI, which is built by non-profit. So unified performance interface. You know what a UPI is? You scan today, right? You scan a QR code and make a payment. Designed by a small team of bankers and engineers, process 14 billion transactions a month, more than Visa and MasterCard combined in India, the world's most successful public digital payment system. Okay, so this is also where a lot of accounting is actually taken care. Who knows? You may work in one of these companies or one of these organizations in the future if you get into finance banking. Okay, now let's understand what is this field, what is the kind of work, if you are fit for these organizations or if you're fit for this kind of a work, and what is a path that you need to take through. Now, understanding the field, okay, what is this customer and what is wrongly assumed as accounts only? No, it is much more than that. In the future, as I scroll down, you'll be understanding what that is. The work, the actual, profession, what real Monday looks like. That means what does every day look like, what kind of money has come, what kind of money has gone out, what kind of brokerage we need to give, what kind of corporate finance team you have to look into, how should the bank work. Okay, all of this comes under the kind of work. What is the fit? Who this career genuinely suits, and that we will see, and we'll see the career path also. Okay, now let's understand what the career is. So commerce, accounting, and finance is a discipline of very neatly written measuring, moving, and multiplying money. Children, if you understand these 3 pointers very clearly, that means you will slowly understand half of it. ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ಬರ್ತಿದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ದುಡ್ಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಹೌ ಟು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ದಿಸ್ ಮನಿ, ಈ ದುಡ್ಡನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪ್ಲೈ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ಹೇಗೆ ಕಾಂಪೌಂಡ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಹೂ ರನ್ ಫಿನಾನ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಕೌಂಟಿಂಗ್. ಅ ಸಿಂಗಲ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್, ಸೊ ವಿಚ್ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಯು, ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಶಾಪ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್, ಡಸಂಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟರ್. Okay, what do these people do? Andre, they record every single transaction. Sorry, they record every single transaction. An accountant records every single transaction. An accountant analyzes every single transaction, then decide where are we going wrong in any decision that we have taken, and giving a report to your seniors or to yourself to say where is the status and what is the status of every accounting that you are doing. Okay, now an example of this will be, my children, let us take a regular example. For example, let us take a kirana shop. On the small kirana, or we can take a supermarket, my dear children. Okay, let's take a supermarket. Now imagine the supermarket that you're running may have more than 50 lakh rupees worth of stock. I'll give you an example. You may sell toothpaste, you may sell toothbrush, you may sell rice, ragi, wheat, Atha, or maybe I'm telling the same thing in 2 different languages, that's okay. But thousands of such things, a supermarket may have it as a stock to sell something. Okay. Now, do you remember this? Every time you go to a supermarket, you are collecting everything that you want from the shelf, you're putting it in a bag or a bucket, and you go to the billing counter and you bill the products that you bought. But my dear children, please remember, or I want you to think, after you bill everything that you want, you put everything in a bag and take it home. But you shouldn't just think there. Now you should think, I took 10, 20, 30 different things from the shelf. I did a billing. Why did the person give me a bill? Why was there a computer? Because somebody was scanning everything before they billed it. What will happen to those data after scanning on my product? What happens in that computer? What will a business owner do with that data? What will an accountant do with that data? Have you ever thought of these questions? If not, you have to start thinking like that. Tomorrow, when you go to a petrol bunk, when you put 10 liters of petrol to your car, 5 liters of petrol to your scooter, they give you a bill. You need to think, why are they billing this? What happens to the bill? In the bill, you must have seen GST is written and some money is written against GST. 50 rupees GST is paid. Where does this money GST go to? What will an accountant do with all these numbers? If you think in these angles, slowly you will start understanding what would be a role of an accountant. Very simple. In the same example of a supermarket story, you bought, imagine a shopkeeper bought 50 toothpaste, Colgate tooth. All of you close up for a Colgate toothpaste, right? So 50 Colgate toothpaste, the shopkeeper bought from a wholesale dealer or from the manufacturer. He is bringing 50 toothpaste and keeping in his cupboard. Okay. For every toothpaste, imagine the toothpaste is 10 rupees. Okay. Let me repeat. Imagine the toothpaste is only 10 rupees. And adding 18% GST to it. Okay. So the toothpaste is 10 rupees plus 18% GST. As simple as that. Now you are going to that shop. You are taking that one toothpaste. You're going to the billing counter. You're billing the toothpaste and you are paying 11 rupees 80 paise, 10 rupees plus 18%. You are paying that money and you're going back. Now, you know what happens? The shopkeeper, in the 10 rupees, he would have already made a profit of 2 rupees because when he bought that product, he might have bought it at 8 rupees. 2 rupees is his profit plus 18% on the overall. That 18% GST he will pay to the government, which is a tax that he needs to pay. Now, in his computer, what can you expect to see is total number of products purchased is 50. Today morning, one customer purchased a product. So -1 is equal to, there should be totally 49 products in his cupboard. Because one product was sold and for every product, 2 rupees profit was the 2 rupees profit has to reflect in his account. And 18% of GST has to actually go to the government. This is what a software or an accounting software will capture, or this is what an accountant will capture. I've told this to you in the most simplest format. I just told you something, a story of 50 toothpaste bought by one person and what happens. But what happens when you buy a toothpaste, you buy a toothbrush and half kg of atta, then you also buy 10 chocolates. Like that, in an everyday basis, thousands of people buying thousands of products across the country, then there is a lot of mathematics that goes behind to and the necessity to keep in accounts of products purchased, products sold, the government, the tax you need to pay, etc. Okay. Now, recording that during the billing is called record. At the end of the month, you sit and analyze all the money you collected, all the bills you gave. Is the money paid, money collected, and the balance in the money, is it compensating or not, or is it tallying or not? That is analyzed. And if anything goes wrong there, you decide or you make a new decision to operate your shop well. And then you kind of generate a report and tell how much taxes should I pay, what is the profits, what is the fund character, what is the, all of this comes in. Now, this is what I told you in a very simple example of what happens in a supermarket. But think about buying, buying thousands and thousands of products across the country. What government itself purchases from different countries for different commodities. You need to think a big picture. Okay, if you go to a supermarket and just observe for 15 minutes for the number of transactions that will happen, you will try to understand what is the need of an accountant sitting there. And that accountant is well matured, who also understands taxation, who also understands legalities to an extent, also understands the government norms and compliances. Probably we can call him a chartered accountant, as simple as that. An accountant and a chartered accountant may be two different people. Chartered accountants are allowed to call themselves as CAs and they are certified by the institution of chartered accountancy. Or you can also be an accountant who is not a CA necessarily, but who understands the basics of account, and they generally work as juniors. Okay, what this cluster is not only bookkeeping, not only chartered accounting. That's what I told. It's not just CA, not only big city work, not boring. Okay, people feel it is boring, but it's a very interesting area. When you start analyzing so much money, not just a small amount of money, then it may give you a lot of challenges, and hence it's not boring. The discipline that decides what an economy is actually worth. Okay, now let us take a few few professions within accounting as a career. Okay, so I will want to choose an option called, let us check chartered accountants itself, right? He signs the audit report that makes a company's numbers legally credible to investors, regulators, and taxmen. In fact, chartered accountant is the only person who has the right to sign on an audit report after the company's numbers are legally credible to investors. So tomorrow somebody wants to invest in a bigger company, they will tell always take a CA's approval, or government itself will tell if you are if you're a private limited company, then you have to take a signature of a chartered accountant to tell your company's accounts are verified. Okay, that's the power what a CA has. Let's take an investment banker. Okay, advises companies on raising capital. Andre, if I am a company, I want to raise money. That means I want to take either a loan or I want to take an investment to dilute my company, to dilute some shares. Then the investment banker advises a company on raising money, buying other companies, or doing big company may want to buy a smaller company, for example, or a group of smaller companies come together and try to buy a bigger company. Now, all of this situation also, you need an investment banker to analyze the finances and give advices, or he himself may co-invest into a company. All of these works are generally done by an investment banker. So let's also understand a couple of more. For example, let's take an economist. Okay, he reads the economy at country scale and tells the bank, the fund or the government, which is coming next. Okay, about economist, we also read about him somewhere in the past, in the previous careers. Let's also see portfolio manager. Decides which stock, bonds, and instruments a mutual fund or a PMS scheme actually works on. So what does a portfolio manager do? Imagine you are actually making, tomorrow you became an engineer, you became a chartered accountant, for example, you are making 1 lakh rupee a month, for example, I'm telling you, are making 1 lakh salary a month, and you're deciding 20% of it or 30% of your monthly earnings you want to invest somewhere, so that you can make more money even without you putting a lot of physical sweat. How can we do that? Is there's a portfolio manager. He will advise you, hey, put 5% in stocks, put 5% in mutual funds, put 5% in real estate, or he may advise you based on your income and your interest on how your portfolio can be managed. And that is what a portfolio manager is. Okay, now comes is forensic accountant. Okay, the detective of finance world follows the money trail when something does not adding up. So forensic accountants also mostly work for governments to understand or having an eye on where the money is moving. Sometimes money is invisible, wrongly utilized by different people across. Forensic scientists you have seen, right? Forensic scientists when some murder happens, they go to the murder scene, they try to take some evidences and try identifying what is going wrong. You know what a forensic scientist do? The same thing is a forensic accountant. That means he is a person who watches, okay, a certain money which is not accountable, but where money is going, which country is doing transaction with whom, or which bigger company is doing which kind of a transaction with whom. Sometimes unaccounted money, trying to identify where is it going, where is it coming, having an additional eye and trying to see where things are going. It mostly helps in places like fraud and investigation within the finance world. How interesting it is. Have you even heard of a profession like that? It's more like a policeman, a accountant who is a police, to watch only the money, not the people necessarily. Yeah, the people definitely, but the idea is to have the accounting knowledge and hence getting into fraud and investigation and trying to be a forensic accountant. Okay, these are some careers you might have never even heard of. Okay, now what does a life look like? Probably you will have a client with you. The client will come up with last minute audit work. So you'll tell, I have only 10 days more to file my taxes. Can you help with it? Probably you may start your day there. Then the second part of the day, you will visit client's office to check inventory records. That means you're going to a client's office and seeing what inventory they have and trying to check their records. Discuss tricky revenue entries with the team. Maybe your accounting team might have entered certain entries in a wrong manner. How do you correct it? They might have gone wrong. Okay, then he signs off for the day. These are few examples of how your day will look like. Okay, when should you take up this career and when you should not take up this career? We'll see. You enjoy working with numbers and seeing patterns inside them. You should love numbers. Numbers here does not mean integration, differentiation, algebra numbers. You should have a lot of fun doing arithmetics, regular math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You should have a lot of fun doing it. You should be somebody who loves to do even a very tough, longer calculation, like a 5 digit into 5 digit, 4 digit into 3 digit. You must be somebody who loves to do it in the most easier format. Then this will be a very interesting career for you, because if you have that skill. You like the ideas of being persons whose signature makes a number trustworthy. You are patient enough to read a 200-page annual report end to end. Can you understand? So if there is a 200-page of accountings that a big company can give you, you should have the patience to read 200, 300, 400 page of annual report of the entire company when it comes to the finances. You can hold a financial principle and real situation in your head at the same time. Okay, that means multitasking is required. You are comfortable being judged on accuracy and on deadlines. That means even the tougher things, people will expect accuracy in you, because numbers are supposed to be accurate. The CEOs of the company who are planning to hire you may be very specific with the numbers and the delivery systems that you're going to generate. And you should also at the same time meet the deadlines given. You take quite pride in noticing the entry that does not match. Ability to find the places where something might go wrong is also something that you should be, which means you should be very frugal minded for a company. You may be personally the way you want, but in terms of the company's perspective, as an accountant of the company, you should be frugal minded. That means being very specific about, is it the right transaction, is it the right kind of an investment, is it the right kind of a place where the money has gone. This kind of thought process has to be there. You should not be choosing the career in case if you find spreadsheets, rules, and reconciliations tedious. Okay, you dislike work that has to be exactly right every time. Don't ever imagine you will be 100% correct every time. You will make mistakes and you should be open for criticism. This industry will demand that. You want a job with no regulatory or compliances pressure. You prefer purely creative work with no quantitative content. This is not for you if you want to be an extraordinary creative person. No, here things work on facts only. Fact, and just fact. You must be ready to work on facts and give facts. There is no space for ambiguity. There's no space for assumption. You can have assumption, but assumption should end up coming up with a result, either positive, negative. Where are we going wrong in our accounts? Okay, what can you do after class 10? Either commerce, science, humanities, any student can take it. But mathematics, accountancy, and economics in grade 11, it's highly recommended, with optional subjects between business studies or informatics sciences and practices, and English is a core. Okay. Now, one of the six things are in your gateway. CA Foundation is one pathway. CMA Foundation is one pathway. 1 second. Okay, CMA Foundation is one pathway. Company secretary is one thing that you can consider doing. Okay, and most of this you can do it with honors. Okay, then if you also take CUET UG, then you can do BBA, BBE, BA Economics at New Delhi. Why? Here economics is also possible. Even through economics, you can get into finances. Okay, you can still do IPMAT and get into a 5-year degree program where you still do BBA and MBA. And MBA, you can have a degree in finances, finance management or financial management, and then also you can get into finance. CA is not the only way necessarily you have to get into chartered accountancy. Okay, chartered accountancy is accounting, but what we are talking about is not just chartered accounting, but also finance as a career. So taking finance as a career option, then you can still do BBA, and when you do MBA, you can take fintech or finance as an option. And if you're somebody who's really interested in fintech, that is finance and technology, that is where places like UPI or net banking, internet banking, all this comes into picture, where you understand finance, where you understand banking at the same time. You also have a technology interest or anything. So you can also do computer science along with it as a subject option and develop your interest in computer science as well. You can also do BCA, Bachelor's in Computer Application in undergraduation, and in Masters, you can do MBA in FinTech and also can get into a good career. Or in undergraduation, you can still do engineering. I'm talking about even engineering is possible. And in Masters, you can do MBA in finance. And then also you can get into FinTech, which is a possibility. But you should have the interest of doing both, an interest in computer science as science and also finance as a major. Okay, top few countries in India where you can do finance as a degree also is Sri Ram School of Commerce, Hindu College, Lady Sriram, very similar to BBA, MBA courses. But without all this, most of the students simply do CA, which you don't have to necessarily go to a college. What happens is you need to do CA foundation, and then you should do CA intermediate, and then you should do articleship, and then you can do CA final, and then become the chartered accountant. Now, for this, okay, now CA is something most of the students start as early as in grade 11, while you do your commerce as subject in grade 11 and 12, or PU1 and PU2. You start preparing for CA right from there, and you try to attempt. But we strongly recommend, you should not be just controlling or condemning yourself by doing CA only. You should be taking definitely a course, a 3-year or 4-year program after you complete PU, have a degree, and along with that you complete CA is much more better, far better. Okay, that is always a good idea, because not everybody who writes CA exam will clear CA exam immediately. It takes years together and months together. Sometimes people write 3 attempts, 4 attempts, 5 attempts to actually clear CA exam. So by you imagining and visualizing that after grade 12, they only want to prepare for CA and write it, they don't even go to a college, it's not very advisable. It's always better you choose a college that gives you BBA or BCom along with that CA as a preparation, because we don't know soon after PU2 you'll be able to clear CA or not. Even if you clear, the stronger recommendation is continue to study BCom BBA and then write your CA, and then if you become a CA, great. If not, the BCom BBA degree that you actually pursued will give you hands to get into core commerce career. And what does a core commerce career can do? That is something we discussed in the previous session, where you can become a business manager, you can become a HR manager, marketing manager, etc. These are some options available even there. So by this, we can understand what does a CA do, and a few companies that can work for an accounting profession. All the big four, like I told, tax and audit advisory. Just a second. Okay. Tax and audit advisory like Deloitte, Ernst Young, PwC, KPMG, and every single bank, that is State Bank of India, ICI, HDFC, Axis, both corporate or the government-oriented banks, both of them, and asset management companies, fintech companies like Razorpay, Paytm, okay, PhonePe, Zerodha, all of these are the companies also that would need people from finance and tech background. And insurance companies like LIC, SBI, Bajaj Finance are also the areas that you can think of. If the field calls you outside India, many people do apply for CFA. Okay, that is Chartered Financial Analyst. Okay, the levels conducted by CFA Institute USA, the global passport for asset management, equity research, and private equity and corporate finance. These are a few. ACCA is also very, very famous. It is Associate of Chartered Accountants, UK based, like how we have CA in India, Institute of Chartered Accountancy. It is similar. ACCA is of the United Kingdoms. The most internationally probable accounting qualification. Fundamentally, you need to write 13 different papers to clear it. And people, 180 different countries recognizes ACCA certification also. Not a few, many people in the country today also consider ACCA preparation along with CA preparation. Then there is financial risk management. Then there is GMAT and GR if you want to get into MF, Masters in Finance, or Masters in Finance Education, etc. globally. Then SAT and ACT also if you want to take up a few countries outside, few countries specifically in US, where if you want to do finance as a career. And a few top universities in the country, outside the countries are Wharton, then there is Chicago, and there is Columbia Business University, Stern, London School of Economics. Okay, there is INSEAD, HEC Paris, NUS, National University, Singapore are the few schools that you can think of. Okay, now someone has to value the company before it lists, and every big company is evaluated by a finance expert to say if the company is worth going to an IPO or for public shares, and without them no company can fundamentally function. So it's that important. So if you and I are living well today, it's because of certain things in every company or an organization is kept well, because a finance guy is looking into every transaction that is going through. Okay, with this, I would like to conclude the today's session on finance and banking, and a very interesting sector. This is something what India has already been looking for. But my only teaching for you today is students who take up CA as a career. I will tell you, my children, it's a good career, but finance is equally an option that you have to look into. It's not just CA. All right. There is where it is coming up to. Yes. Any questions for the day? I'll be more than happy to answer. Yeah, if not, we can conclude for the day. CIE1, I think you have raised the hand, sir or ma'am. Any questions? I can happily answer.